I'm Stephen, USSR Robinson, and you're watching Sport Icons. Papa!
Okay, so I'm looking online, I'm Google searching to see if any kind of information is coming out that I'm not aware of yet when it comes to Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. Three things have popped up. One of them I'm going to cover in a separate video, but in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about two of them. And the two that I'm talking about when it comes to Joshua and Usyk is that apparently King Kong Luis Ortiz is a thought that maybe Anthony Joshua may bring him in for sparring to help him prepare for Oleksandr Usyk. Reason being, they're both southpaw fighters. Now, is that likely to happen? I wouldn't have thought so, to be honest with you, but hey, never say never, right? So it's a possibility, but in my opinion, very, very unlikely. But I understand why, because southpaw is quite difficult to come across, especially in the heavyweight division, right? So it's an option. But the other one is that Luis Ortiz has told Anthony Joshua to fight him instead of Oleksandr Usyk because Oleksandr Usyk is too small. Which is a little bit baffling in some ways, because really what he's saying is Oleksandr Usyk is too small. That means he's too easy. Come fight some real competition. Come fight me. That's pretty much what it is. I'm looking at it. But when you look at it, Luis Ortiz is 6'4". Oleksandr Usyk is 6'3". So you're talking 1 inch difference. That's nothing, is it? Usyk and Ortiz can stand side by side, and you probably wouldn't even notice it, to be honest with you. You really wouldn't. Now, as far as him being small in weight, that's an arguable point. Ortiz, he fights at an average, ever since Usyk, of course, has moved up to heavyweight, an average of about 20 pounds more than Oleksandr Usyk. 20 pounds, especially in the heavyweight division, it's a bit, of course it is, but it's not massive amounts. It's not like he's going to be fighting, say, Oleksandr Usyk, who is, his last fight he weighed 217 pounds, and then go fight 273 pounds worth of Tyson Fury. Okay, that's a huge difference. Okay, but with Luis Ortiz and Oleksandr Usyk, not too much difference at all, really, is there? 20 pounds, it's a bit of difference, but across a 6'4" frame, is it that much different? Not really, I don't think. But anyway, that is what it is. Now, as far as Joshua binning off Oleksandr Usyk and going to fight Luis Ortiz, we know that Eddie Hearn has said that that's a possibility. I had to raise my eyebrows when I looked at that one, because for me, I can't see why Anthony Joshua would want to fight Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz is older than Alexander Povetkin. Luis Ortiz hasn't achieved anything in boxing. Luis Ortiz hasn't beaten anybody that would make you go, oh, that was a good win. Don't get me wrong, he had two good performances against Deontay Wilder, but ultimately got stopped in both of them. But when you look at his resume, it's pretty poor. So what is it that he's done to earn a shot with Anthony Joshua? In fact, Luis Ortiz has been offered at least 2 offers by Anthony Joshua, and he's turned them both down. One of them, of course, would be more recent, I suppose, where he was offered $7 million to fight Anthony Joshua when Big Baby Jarrell Miller tested positive for PEDs. Team Ortiz turned down $7 million. And quite clearly, that's eating him up. It must be eating him up, the fact that he turned it down, which is, of course, why Andy Ruiz Jr. got the gig instead. The other time that an offer came through from Anthony Joshua was when Anthony Joshua, he defeated Vladimir Klitschko. That meant that Luis Ortiz, who was a WBA mandatory at the time, became Anthony Joshua's mandatory. But because Joshua had already had a mandatory during the IBF, that meant that his IBF was first, then Luis Ortiz was next. Luis Ortiz didn't want to be next after Kubrat Pulev, which of course later turned out to be Carlos Takam when Pulev got injured. But Ortiz didn't want to wait, not one fight. In fact, he did everything he could to try and get the WBA to strip Anthony Joshua, didn't he? A lot of you will remember that. So instead, he wanted to go fight Deontay Wilder instead. So that's 2 times Luis Ortiz has turned down an Anthony Joshua fight. He could have fought Anthony Joshua straight after the Carlos Takam fight because it was mandated by the WBA, which is why Alexander Povetkin replaced Luis Ortiz. But, of course, it didn't help Luis Ortiz. Not only did he pull out of all that and try and get Anthony Joshua stripped, ultimately he failed with that, of course, but, of course, he tested positive for PEDs, didn't he? which is why the first Wilder fight fell apart, because Ortiz, he didn't declare the high blood pressure medication. The WBA then suspended Luis Ortiz. Although, incidentally, right now, Luis Ortiz, he's ranked at the top of the WBA, even though he's beaten absolutely nobody. He's been beating journeymen is what he's been doing. So, anyway, that's my thoughts. I thought that if, for example, and it is a big if, that Anthony Joshua decides, you know what, I ain't going to fight Usyk. I'm just going to vacate all the belts. I've had enough of being told who to fight and when to fight them, and what split I should give them and everything. I'm just going to go do my own fights from now on. But if he did decide to vacate that belt, him versus Ortiz, to be honest with you, I'm not interested in it. I'm really not interested in it. I was interested in it when Joshua originally offered him the fight because he was his mandatory. I was interested in that, and of course I was interested in when he offered Luis Ortiz it for $7 million. But even then, part of me was going, but he's already been beaten. Well, I mean, why do you need to go see him for? But anyway, it is what it is. Luis Ortiz is saying to Anthony Joshua, bin off Oleksandr Usyk and come fight me. Basically, go vacate your WBO belt and come see me. That's what he's saying, because Oleksandr Usyk is too small. Also, potential sparring for Anthony Joshua. Personally, I don't think either situation is going to happen. But anyway, that's my thoughts. You drop me yours. Click thumbs up. Subscribe. Catch you on the next video.